Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see all of you here. Before we begin the regular City Council meeting, I'd like to remind members of the audience that anyone wishing to speak during public comment must obtain a number card from the city clerk. Lining up will not be permitted, and each speaker should remain in their seat until their number is called. The time clock will begin when you begin your comments. There are two colored number cards for this meeting. The purple card, this will be used during the public comment period for the public hearing item, and the green card will be used to speak during the general public comment period. If you didn't receive a number card and wish to speak on the items listed on the agenda or non-agenda, please proceed to the back of the room and the city staff will issue you a number. I would also like to remind members of the audience that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Speakers who violate these rules and cause a disruption will receive one warning and then may be removed from the meeting. Violations of the rules of decorum for council meetings may also result in an administrative fine under the municipal code or citation for a misdemeanor under Penal Code Section 403. Pursuant to the Downey Municipal Code, speakers will be given 1 3-minute speaking time for agenda, consent calendar, and non-agenda items, unless this time is modified by the mayor. Members of the audience who submitted written public comment for this meeting and wish to speak during the public comment period will be allowed to speak if they wish. Copies of the city's meeting rules are located in the back of the room. I will now call to order the regular city council meeting. The time is now 6:35. City clerk, would you please take roll?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Horn.
Present.
Councilmember Sosa.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo.
Here.
And Mayor Frometa.
Present. At this time, I would like to call on Father Sam Ward from St. Raymond's Church to please lead us in the invocation. And if you can please stand.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just some exciting news. Bittersweet for me at St. Raymond's. So our current principal, Mrs. Claudia Rodarte, has just been hired beginning in the fall as new principal at St. Pius X St. Matthias Academy, her alma mater. So I'm very excited. I've been chaplain there my entire priesthood for 20 years. I got my warrior jacket on today, but we're sad to see her go. She's been an amazing principal for 6 years, but we've hired the 8th grade teacher after an exhaustive search process as the new principal coming in as well to Miss Valeria Pacheco. So it'd be time of transition, but a great blessing. And Mr. Rodarte will stay local here and going back to her alma mater. Her daughter is a student there and her son's still a student at St. Raymond School. So she'll stay with our Knight family and the Warrior family as well. Also, one quick request, and I put it through Ashley, and I don't know if it got to you. On Sutton, I mentioned to the chief as well too, police chief, we're going to be having a Eucharistic Corpus Christi procession on Sunday, June 11th after the noon mass down Paramount Boulevard up to Stewart and Gray and coming back. And when I was pastor at St. Helens in Southgate PD assisted us with some patrol just for safety and for order and stuff. So maybe just requesting from the chief and from the council if that would be possible for that. I can follow up with an email and with you guys, but that'd be wonderful. And all are invited for that as well too. So let us pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty and eternal God, you revealed your glory to all nations. God of power and might, wisdom and justice. Through you, authority is rightly administered, laws enacted, and judgment is decreed. Assist with your spirit of counsel and fortitude the President of these United States, that his administration may be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to your people over whom he presides. May he encourage due respect for virtue and religion. May he execute the laws with justice and mercy. May he seek to restrain crime, vice, and immorality. Let the light of your divine wisdom direct the deliberation of our Congress and shine forth in all proceedings and laws framed for our rule and government. May they seek to preserve peace, promote national happiness, and continue to bring us the blessings of liberty and equality. We pray for the governor of this state, for the members of the legislature, judges and elected officials, especially of our city of Downey City Council and all officials, and all others who are entrusted to guard our political welfare. May they be enabled by your powerful protection to discharge their duties with honesty and ability. Likewise, we commend to you your unbounded mercy, all citizens of the United States, that we may be blessed in the knowledge and sanctified in the observance of holy law. May we be preserved in union and that peace which the world cannot give. And after enjoying the blessings of this life, be admitted to those which are eternal. We pray to you, our Lord and God, forever and ever. Amen. Blessings to all.
Thank you. Thank you, Father. If I can have Councilmember Sosa lead us in the flag salute.
Join me in facing the flag. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It is so nice to be back, especially to have almost our full council. I know we were not able to meet a couple of weeks ago, and we are just so glad to have Councilmember Horn and Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo back with us. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to my far left with Councilmember Horn. This is the time for council member announcements and requests for future agenda items, as well as conference and meeting reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to report that I participated in the League of California Cities Leader Summit in Sacramento. Learned quite a bit up there. Hopefully we can use the techniques that was brought to us. I also led members of the Alameda Elementary School during the school tour of the City Hall, the library, and the theater. I attended the Public Works Committee meeting, particularly with the interest of learning more about the parking issues that we're having problems in the districts. I completed my CRT, my CERT, my Community Emergency Response Training at Fire Station 1. So I now am part of the emergency team that will be dispatched if there's called emergencies. And I participated in the Gangs Out of Downey Cops and Kids Day at Golden Park. And that's all I had to report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Horn. Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First and foremost, I want to thank Kaiser, my personal health team, Dr. Sandra Salazar, Dr. Deaver, Dr. Yang, and my surgeon, Dr. Laxa. Dr. Laxa is second in command over the surgery department in Downey Kaiser, and I want to thank her for all the attention for what seems to be a successful procedure so far. So thank you first and foremost to Kaiser. I also attended the League of Cities, and it's always great to be in company of other local electeds because you get to ask what's going on in their cities and how are they addressing it. I can assure you the biggest issue that I think all cities are facing is the homeless, the unhoused, and how do you provide them dignified care. But at the same time, I'm often reminded that my residents also have rights also, and we should not have our communities, our neighborhoods impacted by the unfortunate situation of the unhoused. I continue to focus on District 1 and District 3, which is the heaviest concentration of homelessness. We're working on it. It is an ongoing issue, but I could assure you that our city manager and our chief of police know that that's of concern to our residents. So we hear you when it comes to the issue of homelessness. It is not forgotten. I would ask for a couple of agenda items for future. Specifically, I would like to know what the status is of moving forward on a dog park on the south side of the city. I would like to discuss the issue of Siaka. I'm getting several emails about our shelter being labeled a high kill shelter. I would like to be educated on numbers, what is going on with Siaka. I hear that there's very limited accessibility, that apparently if you want to adopt a pet, you have to go only like on Tuesdays between 11 and 2. I mean, so are we really trying to make these animals accessible for adoption, or are we just giving it lip service? So we have to discuss funding for Siaka, then we need to do that. If we're going to have this animal shelter, I hate to be known as the city that doesn't care about these animals. So let's talk about Siaka. I've been contacted by LA CATA, the sponsoring nonprofit of Downey Pride. They want to come to before this council and ask for funding. So I'm asking that that be set on the agenda, possibly for May 23rd. I have asked staff to look into the issue of chain link fences and what we can do to improve the security, if you will, of some of our homes that have chain link fences for security. I get it. Some of them have been grandfathered, but we should do something about improving the aesthetics of these chain link fences. I think we can possibly come up with some sort of partnership where we'll provide the greenery if the homeowners will take care of the maintenance. So we are looking into chain link fences. We will be meeting. I look forward to meeting with our city manager and our interim director, I believe, of Public Works, a permanent director. And I invite other council members. I know that 3 of us, it's difficult to get together because of the Brown Act, but if anybody wants to tour Woodruff and the industrial corridor, as we call it in District 1, please reach out to our city manager. But I would like to see, as I mentioned last time, a plan on how we are going to beautify Woodruff and look at monumental entries in the south side of Downey to make those neighborhoods feel more embraced, if you will. We know that the south side always feels disenfranchised. I think it's incumbent upon us to look at what's going on in the south side and put some resources there to improve in the neighborhoods, which I think will have an effect citywide to continue to improve our property values. That's my report and my request. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And we do have the item on LA CATA on the agenda for the next meeting. Councilmember Sosa?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I've attended quite a few events over the last 4 weeks, so I'll just highlight a few of them. I too attended the League of California Cities Leaders Summit. It was an opportunity to meet with our local elected officials, Assemblywoman Blanca Pacheco, as you all know, and as well as State Senator Bob Archuleta and a few others to discuss various topics, the main one being homelessness, asking for funding to address that issue. And that seems to be an issue that everybody's dealing with right now. And then also talk with other local elected officials and see how they're dealing with elevated crime in certain areas. I also am a part of the Celico Policy Board, and we had a meeting. I bring that up because there is a big job fair coming up on June 3rd at Sims Park in the city of Bellflower, and there should be well over 80 employers there. It's a good job fair to be at if you're looking, or if you just want to see what's out there. And later on down the line, around October, we're looking to have a big job fair like that, very similar in Downey. So stay tuned. I too was here for the Alameda Elementary school field trip. That was a lot of fun. We took them to all the different departments, and kids asked the most curious and silliest questions. It was a lot of fun working with them, and it was just a great experience. I also attended the Downey Police and Fire Federation luncheon where they awarded and recognized the Downey firefighter and Downey police officer of the year. That was a great time, and both recipients very well deserved, as we appreciate our first responders. Also went on a tour at PTA Helps at Apollo Park, which is in my district. Very impressive. The things that how they provide resources for families in need in the city, and it's definitely they do bring a lot of value to our city and our community, and providing just necessities that people need in their homes. I attended the Good Gangs Out of Downey Kids and Cops event as well. Great way to have fun with the kids. Played a little football, was a little sore after that with some of the kids and cops, and that was a great experience. Great way for the kids to interact with their fellow police officers in the community. And then I also attended the Special Needs Awareness Fair held by the City of Downey at Apollo Park, and that was really cool to see all the resources available for our special needs community. And then also participated and attended the National Day of Prayer, which we had here last week. This was in conjunction with Calvary Chapel Downey here in Downey, and they basically took the lead and planned everything. And it was an amazing turnout. We had well over 300 people here, and we had different pastors come up from different churches and lead the crowd in prayer, and were able to pray over us elected officials, local, state, and the national level. Pray for our country, prayed for our first responders, specifically Downey PD and Downey Fire, and our armed forces and our local church leaders. It's just a blessing to be a part of that. So that concludes my comments, Madam Mayor. Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you, Councilmember Sosa. And full disclosure, I am not sick, but my voice has been wanting to take a break for the last few days. So if you hear my voice a little strange, there's a reason why. I do have a large Yeti full of tea, and just so that you know, if I am not as talkative as I usually am. But I just want to say welcome to each and every one of you. It is always good to be back and conduct the people's business. We did have a very full several weeks of a lot of activities throughout our city. I was happy to have attended the Community Emergency Response Team graduation, which Councilmember Horn was a part of, over at Fire Station 1. I always say it is important for our community to also take part on the CERT program and be prepared. Emergencies happen. It's not a matter of when, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And being part of CERT allows us to know basic life skills and allows us to be better prepared to help our neighborhoods, especially when there is a disaster, when there's an earthquake. We need to be able to know where our gas valves are and be able to help our neighbors, because help from our fire department, our first responders may be a little delayed. I also had an opportunity with Councilmember Sosa to attend the Neighborhood Watch meeting in District 2 a couple of weeks ago. And once again, I also want to encourage members of our community present here, but also watching us online, to be a part of a Neighborhood Watch group and program. This allows us to be more aware of what is happening. And if you see something, please say something. Sometimes we think if we see something happening, that somebody else is going to report it, or if that issue has already been reported. And many times that is not the case. So we want to encourage you. We have close to 230 neighborhood watch groups throughout our city. And post-COVID, these neighborhood watch groups have continued to now come back to life and start to gather. I had the pleasure of attending NALEO, the National Association of Latino Elected Officials Policy Institute in New York. That was on economic mobility. And we discuss, again, as cities, how we bring back and push for economic development and better training to have a better trained workforce. And as you know, and I've made it very well known since I took over as mayor once again, that one of my focuses is economic redevelopment in this city. There are a lot of empty buildings in various places throughout our city and along Firestone corridor and other areas, and that are key to attracting business developments. And that is what I'm happy to have our city manager and certainly our new, I want to give a warm welcome to our new director of community development, as well as our new director of finance, and as well as our director of public works. It's been a long time coming, and I just want to say welcome. This is your first meeting, so if you can please give them a little round of applause. The city of Downey continues to be an aspirational city, and as such, our efforts will continue to be in economic development. Once now that we have steered back to some stability in our city and in key departments, it is imperative that we look at our yes, economic development, but particularly our community development department and our planning. I know many residents and businesses have expressed concerns about extensive delays in that department. And I'm not picking on that department, but what I'm saying is we've got work to do, and we want to continue to be a city that shines and a city that moves quickly, because time is of the essence and time is money. And if we are not focusing on attracting businesses to our community and training people and getting the workforce here, we are losing out on those tax revenues for our community. Another thing, I also joined Councilmember Sosa and our police and fire, and celebrating the police and firefighter of the year at the Downey Police and Fire Luncheon recently. Once again, my congratulations to the two individuals that were selected. There is no mistake that this city is what it is. Our neighborhoods and our city enjoys safer neighborhoods because of the hard work of our police department and the quick response of our fire department. Thank you. I had the pleasure of attending the Rancho Los Amigos 40th Amistad Gala over the weekend. I was not only on the board for the foundation, but also I was the chair of the event. And this, my heart really is with the Rancho Los Amigos rehabilitation. They are the top 5 rehabilitation center in the nation when it comes to brain and spinal cord injuries, and the work that they do to help turn families around whose lives can change in a split second is remarkable, and the work that they do in the rehabilitative space is really unparalleled. I was able to attend with my council colleague, Hector Sosa, our city manager, our police and fire chief, and certainly it was a really good event over the weekend. Last but certainly not least, I also had the opportunity to attend on Sunday in Long Beach at the Long Beach Museum of Art. Congressman Robert Garcia did an art contest. And out of 130 submissions, I am pleased to share with you that 4 of the students that were the finalists were Downey students. The winner was Grace Barrios, and she was the first place winner from Downey High School. And her piece of art will be displayed at our Capitol in Washington, D.C. It is always good to represent our community. And I do have a couple of things for staff. I too, as my council colleagues have indicated, I have been receiving emails from our community related to the increase in transient activity and homelessness in various neighborhoods, particularly District 3, as well as District 1, encampments along the freeways and along Woodruff Avenue and behind along the railroad tracks. Also, again, we continue with speed enforcement activities, and I would like to also ask for those speed enforcement activities to continue, particularly, and I know that we talk about this every couple of weeks, but I know parents are concerned when it comes to schools and in that the issue around school drop-offs and pickups, and not just the traffic, but the potential for running children over as people don't always adhere to the traffic signs. One last thing is also if we can continue to please the illegal dumping. We also see significant uptick in that in various parts of the city. And I realize we continue to make contact with Athens. And I, in my mayor's monthly columns, which by the way, one is coming up later this week, I continue to share with the residents the Bennett campaign and the phone number to call for illegal dumping. And we will continue to please promote those through our social media platforms. That is all I have for tonight. Hector, Councilmember Sosa, you had something else.
Yeah, just real quick, correction, it's Downey Police and Fire Foundation, not Federation. Also, I did attend the Downey Foundation scholarship awards night, and I just wanted to point that out because they gave out over $110,000 in scholarships to graduating seniors from Warren, Downey, Columbus, and I think there was one person from Lakewood High, but just an amazing night, $110,000 plus. That's awesome. And I did have a question for staff, or maybe City Manager Roger Bradley and Director of Parks and Rec Jason Chacon. Are we anticipating we're anticipating a report on the community garden? Is that the next session?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Just a couple of more things. I do want to wish our mothers or mother figures happy Mother's Day weekend. Again, for those that celebrate Mother's Day, but also for those that are mother figures as well. And it is Nurses Week. We do have several presentations in just a moment, but I do want to acknowledge that this is Nurses Week. And for those that work in healthcare and provide that care to our community, thank you for all you do. There are two events that I would like to highlight. On May 13th, this coming Saturday, is the monthly Keep Downey Beautiful cleanup. And this will be at Independence Park starting at 9 a.m. It's only 1 hour. And the following Saturday on May 20th at 10 a.m., we have the Touch a Truck at Independence Park as well. And that was a very well received and attended community event. Thank you. Thank you for that. City Manager, would you proceed with your comments before we go to presentations?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things I wanted to recap quickly so I make sure I capture things properly here. So request for information on the status of the dog park on the south side of the city. You got that. We'll make sure we provide that. Request for information on SIACA and the number of euthanized animals and access and other things to the facility. We'll provide that as well. Woodruff Improvement Program. We do have that as a future agenda item already. We'll continue to work with Mayor Pro Tem and any other council members that would like to provide feedback on that and bring that back at a future council meeting for discussion. And then I heard continue to promote and focus on transient activity and homelessness. A number of council members have expressed some concerns on that, and we will and that's definitely an issue. And I do understand that that's something that we need to continue to focus on and provide effort and resources to here in the community. Speed enforcement activities to continue around schools, as well as to continue to focus on illegal dumping issues and make sure we can take care of those issues with the community. make sure I captured everything there appropriately, and we'll continue to work on that. I did want to just reiterate what you said, Mayor. It is great to have all of our department head seats filled at this time, and we're continuing to move forward and manage the workload that we have here. And we're excited about what's going to happen here in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. Would you like to provide, I know that our residents have been anxious about Fire Station 4. Would you like to provide a quick update on that?
Absolutely. So the work there is complete at this point. We have been doing some internal air quality testing, and that is getting wrapped up as we speak. We were waiting for some results to come back, at which time we will begin to move our fire team back into the facility. And we're hoping to have that done here next week is the goal. Everything seems to be moving forward at that pace. So we're happy to get that fire station open here really soon.
Thank you for that. At this time, then we will go down to for presentations. Good, thank you. At this time, we have a posthumous recognition for our retired employee with 22 years of service. And I will call on our city manager, Roger Bradley, to talk a little bit more about Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. As you may see from the agenda, this is a posthumous award and recognition of Mr. Scott Knox, who sadly passed away on April 13th. We do have his family here, Kevin Knox, his son, to receive the recognition today. I just want to say, to kind of start off, thank you to his family for sharing him with us for 22 years. He had a great impact on this community, on this organization, and thank you for that. And I want to say thanks to Scott for his service here, and I'll highlight some of the things that he was able to do and accomplish during his time. Not all of them, but some of the key things. So Scott Knox began employment as a city employee at the library IT office in November of 1999. He supported the computer infrastructure for the library consortium of Downey, Santa Fe Springs, and the City of Commerce libraries. Scott's very first project was to prepare for, you remember, the Y2K issue for that rollover many years ago. He was at the library when it transitioned from a mainframe catalog system through to a client-based platform, as well as during the breakup of the consortium into a cloud-based system that Downey Library uses today. In 2012, Scott transitioned to the city's IT office and began an expanded role in technical support for the rest of the city's departments. Soon afterwards, he joined the city's IT division serving until January of 2023, when he retired. Scott worked in the city again for a total of 22 years, and some of his accomplishments, to name just a few, he assisted with the library Measure S remodel and upgrade of the library technology infrastructure. So if you've been over there to the library, you see all the great technology assets that are there. It's a 21st century library. It's something that you don't see in every community have, and that is a real asset, and we're thankful for his part in bringing that to fruition here for the city. Helped install and upgrade the Downey Fire Department, Santa Fe Springs, and Compton Fire Department's mobile data computer in the vehicles with computer tablets for dispatching and reporting. He set up our local parks with Wi-Fi, as well as the Senior Center's computer lab. He helped upgrade the City Council's audiovisual capabilities and during COVID, which was a key thing for us, so making sure that we could continue to operate virtually during that timeframe, as well as help with live streaming to YouTube, as well as putting in our touchscreen voting panels. And if I could have Scott kind of join me up here. We do have actually as well, Lisette Gonzalez from Assembly Member Pacheco's office, who would like to also provide a little bit of an award. But on behalf of the city, I'll present you with our plaque for your father and say thank you again for sharing him with us.
Thank you very much.
We are in deepest sympathy for Rex Scott Knox, in whose memory all members stood in tribute and reverence as the City Council adjourned its meeting on the 9th day of May. Certainly, I had the honor of working with Scott over the last several years, and he will be sorely missed. He was a real asset to this city, and I know that anytime and every time I called on him for anything related to IT, I sometimes struggle. I'm not the most techie person, and he was just such a great help and such an asset. So God bless you and God bless your family, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And we wanted to present a certificate of recognition to Rex Scott Knox. On behalf of the 64th Assembly District, I sincerely thank you for your service to the city of Downey. Your leadership and hard work has been an instrumental part of ensuring Downey's continued prosperity. Your time and dedication has not gone unnoticed. Thank you. As we celebrate and pay tribute to your life, let us always remember that it's during the darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. Aristotle Onassis. And we also wanted to present you with a memoriam honoring the life of your dad. On behalf of the California State Assembly, may we express your deepest sympathy, Assemblywoman Blanca Pacheco.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you for this honor. I know that my dad would be, he was very proud to work for the city for several decades. He was proud to work with the firemen and the policemen most of all. And so thank you very much.
We are also recognizing this week is Municipal Clerks Week. Actually, it was April 30th through May 6th. And I would like to have Alicia come up and assist with the presentations. This proclamation, the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government, community, and whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And now, therefore, I, Claudia Fermetta, Mayor of the City of Downey, do recognize the week of April 30th through May 6th, 2023 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our City Clerk, Alicia Duarte, and Deputy City Clerk, Linda Tai, and to all municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Duarte, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm the city clerk here in the city of Downey. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and city council, city manager Bradley, and interim assistant city manager De Rojas for their support of the city clerk's office and for this recognition. I would also like to thank the city clerk's office staff, Deputy City Clerk Linda Tai, and Office Assistant Agustin Estrada, who's here in the audience. I would like to acknowledge them for their hard work and dedication in the office. Their hard work does not go unnoticed, and I could not do my job without them. So thank you very much. I'd like to share that we in the city clerk's office pride ourselves in serving the community and will always do so ethically and with transparency. Thank you very much for the recognition.
Definitely our city clerk and our city clerk's office does an invaluable service to our city. So we thank you and we recognize you. At this time, we are also, we have a proclamation for National Police Week, which is May 14th through May 20th. And I would like to call upon our Chief of Police, Leslie Murray. This is to recognize National Police Week 2023 and to honor the service and sacrifice of those of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas National Police Week takes place each year in the month of May, with this year, May 15th, is designated as Peace Officer Memorial Day. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty are honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's annual candlelight vigil in Washington, D.C. And whereas the members of the Downey Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our community. And whereas it is vital that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of the police department, and that members of our police department recognize their commitment to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Claudia Fermetta, call upon all citizens of the city of Downey and all patriotic, civil, and education organizations to recognize Police Week with appropriate observance, which our community may join in honoring police officers past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Join me in recognizing our law enforcement, National Police Week.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, City Manager Bradley, for this proclamation and for recognizing the duty of the police officers who work in our communities. You know, every police officer that works out there understands that they do so taking risk of their own lives and making sacrifices to their families and to themselves. And we appreciate you taking the time to recognize their efforts and particularly during National Police Week to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice, sacrificing their life in service of our communities. So thank you very much. We very much appreciate this honor.
And we also have a proclamation for Public Service Recognition Week, May 7th through the 13th. And if our city manager, Roger Bradley, could come up. Well, the proclamation for Public Service Recognition Week reads, whereas Americans are served every day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and city levels, these unsung heroes do the work that keeps our nation working. And whereas public employees take not only jobs, but oaths, and whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, border patrol officers, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others risk their lives each day in service to the people of the United States and around the world. And whereas public servants include teachers, doctors, scientists, train conductors, astronauts, nurses, safety inspectors, laborers, computer technicians, social workers, and countless other occupations. Day in and day out, they provide the diverse services demanded by the American people of their government with efficiency and integrity. And whereas without these public servants at every level, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Now, therefore, I, Claudia Fermetta, Mayor of the City of Downey, do hereby announce and proclaim to all residents May 7th through the 13th as Public Service Recognition Week. All residents are encouraged to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels. And if you can please join me in a round of applause for our public servants, including our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This means a lot. One of the things that most of us, I think, that come into this profession value is that we're here to make a difference in the communities that we serve. Our police, fire, public safety personnel, the folks that work in public works, the library, at our parks, planning. These people are here every day to make sure that this community is the best that it can be. They serve with all their heart and passion. I've only been here for about a month and a half now, so I'm still pretty new, but I got to say, as I've had a chance to go around the organization and get to know the staff here, that we have a great team in place. People are dedicated to this community. This is what they do, and they're passionate about it. And off they go, duty calls, and they have to run. And that's what their life is about. So I won't speak too long, but I will say that this is something that we take serious. We love what we do, and we want to make a difference. And we're here to serve every day. And thank you for this recognition.
Thank you for your service. We're going to take a picture. Okay, we now have the certificate of recognition to the exemplary employee certificates. And I believe we have one employee from each department, and I will call upon our city manager to assist.
All right, thanks again, Mayor. We do have, as you mentioned, one employee from each department that has been nominated for their exemplary service. So as I call the name of that employee, please come forward and I'll read a short a paragraph about what they've done for their exemplary services. So the first one is from the city clerk's department. We have Augustine Estrada. Augustine is responsible for processing public records requests in the city clerk's office. Augustine has a positive attitude and excellent customer service skills. He's always willing to learn and ask questions. He's very organized. He's able to handle various tasks at once while remaining calm. So we thank him for his service. From the city manager, city council, Dorian Munoz. Dorian became the city's full-time social media coordinator in December of 2022 and has done an outstanding job in this position. Dorian is proactive, knowledgeable of social media trends, and an incredible team player. By Dorian implementing new posts, videos, and outreach methods, the city's social media followers have increased across all of our platforms. Thank you. The Columbia Memorial Space Center, we have Juan Collado. I don't know if he's going to be here tonight, but thank him. Juan continues to distinguish himself both as a Space Center educator and his work with our volunteers. We are especially grateful for his leadership on our Cerritos College internship program. Juan has been responsible for shepherding this program that is supported by a grant from the National Science Foundation. Community development, we have Kim Sotatani. Kim has not only been extremely helpful to her department head in getting started here, as well as looking at every detail. She is the glue holding the department together. She really cares about the city, and this is exemplified in her work ethic and customer service skills. Finance IT, Francesca Navarro. So she's not here tonight, but her tireless dedication to the city and the finance team, her professionalism and calm demeanor in the absence of both the director and assistant director help to ensure the city's financial activities remain current, accurate, and secure. From the fire department, Jake Jerzakowski. Engineer Jerzakowski has worked to expand the fire department's public education program by developing online public safety content that's available through the fire department website and social media to help keep citizens safe around fires, pools, and during the holidays. He's also worked to develop a program called Community Connect that will allow individuals to provide information to the fire department that will help when responding to an emergency. From Human Resources, Beatrice Tapia. Human Resources Analyst Beatrice Tapia was selected for her dedication and service to the city. Beatrice is currently assigned to oversee the city's recruitment efforts, and over the past year has overseen approximately 116 recruitment processes to fill different city vacancies. Beatrice always strives to provide excellent service and ensures departments are able to hire the necessary personnel to provide excellent service to the residents of this city. The library, Andy Meza. We appreciate Andy's dedication to developing the programming in the library's workshop and studio spaces. The programs in both these spaces push the boundaries of what libraries are capable of. Parks and Recreation, Heidi Lockwood. There's always excitement from the parks floor. That's right. So Heidi, a Warren High graduate, has has been with the department for over 20 years and is the epitome of what public service looks like. She currently manages overall park supervision at all 13 city parks and works closely with other city departments to ensure the community has clean and green open space to enjoy. She often has to handle evening and weekend issues at parks, but loves what she does. And it's a huge reason the Parks and Recreation Department is so well received from the community. From police, Officer Oscar Lopez. Oscar is assigned to field operations as a patrol officer. He is also a field training officer, a member of our homeless outreach team, a use of force instructor, and assists with canine training. Oscar is always very professional and polite, demonstrates his high level of teamwork, has a positive attitude, and is highly respected by his peers. And last but not least, and he wasn't able to attend this evening, but from Public Works, we have Julio Guerrero. And Julio was selected based on his persistent can-do attitude. Julio has done an exceptional job coordinating the department budget and handling the administrative legwork in managing the department's several grants. He's always willing to take on new challenges and take an initiative to learn new projects and tasks, and recently took on the temporary oversight of the city's waste hauling contract during the temporary absence of the integrated waste management coordinator. As such, Julio is a valuable asset to the department. Thanks to Julio. And thank you to the entire team.
Take some photos, shall we? Both sides, yeah.
Just pull it back so that there's more space for everybody here.
And some of us short ones. I am tall. Are we good? Thank you. Well done. Congratulations. They really deserve all that applause and more. If we can, I just wanted to also make you all aware, and I did not include that during my comments, that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we just need to continue to pay attention to people around us and really see those that need help. May is a Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you. After all those great presentations, we do have, it is 7:33, and there is one public hearing this evening. So we do want, moving on with our meeting tonight in our agenda. We do have one public hearing this evening, and we do have 4 speakers. The Federal Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Grant, fiscal year 23-24 Annual Action Plan. That the City Council, number 1, approve the proposed fiscal year 23-24 Annual Action Plan and authorize the city manager to submit the document and the required certification to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. 2, authorize the city manager or his designee to modify and execute any and all appropriate instruments, agreements, contracts, and implementing documents related to the implementation and administration of the proposed fiscal year 23-24 Annual Action Plan, Community Development Block Grant, and Home Investment Partnership Grant Program, including subrecipient grant contracts and agreements based on the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development appropriation to the city. And 3, approve an increase in the maximum grant amount per household for the city's housing rehabilitation program from $35,000 to $50,000 per household. The hour having arrived, the public hearing is now open. The time is 7:34. City Clerk, do you have proof of publication?
Yes, Mayor, we do.
I will make a motion. Can I get a second to receive and file the publication?
Second.
Let's vote.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. City Manager Bradley, is there a staff report?
Yes, Mayor. Jessica Flores, Economic Development Housing Manager, will provide the staff report.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm here tonight to present the city's fiscal year 23-24 annual action plan. And I apologize, but I don't see the clicker. Did I miss it? Thank you. So as I mentioned, I'm here tonight to present the city's fiscal year 23-24 annual action plan. This is the process and application that the Department of Housing and Urban Development requires of the city as a prerequisite for receiving what we call community development block grants, or what is known as CDBG grant money, and home investment partnership, which we know as home funding. These grants are available to be used for a variety of activities as listed in this slide here. Those activities are to primarily benefit low and moderate income households and persons. And so with that, I'd like to speak on what the grant funding is for this fiscal year. As you can see in this table, CDBG grant funding was decreased by 4.7%, which was about $48,346 this fiscal year. And the home allocation actually increased by 5.1%, or about $23,450 this year. So our total allocation for this year in CDBG and home funding is $1,453,683. I want to speak a little bit in regards to the budget. I'll speak on CDBG budget first. As you can see in the table before you, we are allocating money towards the housing rehabilitation program through CDBG funding, as well as code enforcement, as we have done in previous years. About $101,000 is allocated for public services, and that will fund Downey Unified School District's 1020 Club, the TLC Center, Parks and Rec Senior Meals Program, the Community Family Guidance Center, and LA CATA. In addition, in regards to administration, we will be funding fair housing services, as well as paying off some 108 loans that the city has. And the general program administration is funded as well. So total funding, that includes program income in the past year, which means that's monies that we get from loans that are paid off from persons that had loans with the city. And so that program income plus our allocation totals the budget that you see before you, which is $1,018,058. In regards to the home budget, as you can see, this is where we actually fund most of our rehab program, our housing rehabilitation program. It's $1,667,581. We have a required affordable housing partnership of 15% that must be set aside for any community organization that would like to partner with the city in providing affordable housing. We also fund the homeless prevention or rental assistance program that we work with through the Whole Child. This year, they are requesting an increase in their funding from $25,000 in previous years to $50,000. On average, the Whole Child does assist families with about $5,000. Usually it's deposits and rent that they pay. And so this year it'll look like they'll be able to assist at least 10 families with that $50,000. And to finish off the budget, we are including general administration, $60,584, which totals a budget of $1,849,995. I do want to mention that staff is requesting or recommending that the city council approve a grant increase from the current grant for the rehabilitation program of $35,000. That's the current grant to households. And we would like an increase of $50,000, and that is due to an increase in labor and materials. And that would allow for us to continue doing a bit more for each household. I did also want to mention that we did host two community meetings this year. One was done on a Wednesday evening, and that was in person and Zoom. This is the first in-person community meeting we had since COVID. And we did have a couple of people, well, one person showed up and then we had our interpreter. And then that one person decided they did not want us to present to them that evening, and they'd come to our Saturday Zoom call. And so on Saturday, we had March 25th at 9 a.m. We had a Zoom community meeting, and we did have 4 persons at that meeting. And then any comments that were received in that meeting are a part of the action plan that will be presented to the HUD. And with that, that concludes staff's report. I am available for questions, and if approved tonight, this will allow for staff to submit the draft action plan to HUD for approval for next fiscal year.
Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate your presentation. I've got a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
How did we go about publicizing the event, the in-person event? Because again, I hear that members of our community at some point or another may be struggling with, with homelessness or with potential evictions. And so what are we doing to ensure that this information is out? Because one person attending the event in person seems a little...
Sure. In regards to the community meetings, we advertised through the Downey Patriot, the city's website, and social media outlets. We also uploaded it to the Facebook Positively Downey page, as well as the Nextdoor app.
Okay. And another question, how many homes do we have? I know there's a waiting list for the homes that want to be refurbished. Mm-hmm. And I know it's a very long list. And by the time we get to it, how can we ensure that we are moving through that list? Because there may be people on that wait list for more than a couple of years.
Sure. So our wait list currently has 149 families on it. In the last 9 months, we've gone through 46 applicants or residents on that list. And of those 46 interested households, 18 were able to qualify for the assistance. And so just based off of that, it will take, let's see, 46 over 9 months, about 50-ish in a year. It would take us about 2-3 years to get through that interest list.
Oh, it seems, and again, I'm just asking, what can we do and how can we help to increase the number of homes that we are looking at? Because again, there's clearly a need. I know we only have a certain, a finite number, but 149 people on that list, 46 applicants, and out of those 46, 18 qualified. What are we doing to communicate with those families, what the process is, and from the time they apply, what is the qualification? What is it that they need? Because again, the one thing I would like to avoid is for us to be spreading, false hope or false, not false, but information that gives people the pretense that, they're home, that we're going to help them. And yet 3 years later, they're still on a wait list, or they apply and then
Sure.
they don't qualify.
Yeah. So at the applicant, well, we call it an interest form actually. And the interest form does explain what the qualifications, the minimum qualifications are, one of them being income. And so we have that. And we also have home values that could limit somebody's assistance. And so we actually do not take any documentation from anybody until we're able to assist, until they come up on the wait list and we're able to assist. And so we do speak with them. We do give them our information, and they are free to call us at any time in regards to getting further information and where they are on the wait list. And we always let them know it's an annual, the income limit is an annual, it changes annually, and it's based off of LA County's HUD information. And so on an annual basis, that you're absolutely right. It could change for a household. And so we do inform of that when they call, and it's also on the interest form. And so we try to inform them as much as possible in regards to that. City Manager?
Mayor, what you're asking is just to make sure that we do some outreach to let folks know where they are in the process, and sort of when they can expect to get some to move up on the list. Is that what you're asking?
Well, yes, but not only that, Roger, I just think having a list of 149 individuals, and if it takes us 3 years or 2.5 years to get to them, it's not, to me, that's really not acceptable. I think we need to do a better job. And I realize that in the scope of all of the work that we have from a city's perspective, there's a lot of various priorities. But if we look at, contacting 12 of those on a monthly basis in 1 year, we're done with that list. And it takes, again, realizing that there is a process in place. But I just think that I don't know that we are really helping our community members. We are and we are not, because out of those 46 applicants, and like you said, Jessica, and again, I'm not killing the messenger. There is a process, and there's different guidelines that are not set up necessarily by us. It's what the grant requires and how we can utilize those monies, because those are given to us by the federal government. And so what can we do to expedite a process that doesn't drag on for 3 years?
Okay, I think I understand. So we can definitely look at that, and we can have more of a conversation about what ways we can do to incentivize movement on the list or other opportunities to get it moving a little bit faster.
And again, I think perhaps it's education. Maybe half of those on that list don't even qualify, but they don't know that, because it's an initial, form. And again, I want us to be able to do what we can to be more efficient on our end and on their end. And granted, we can't dictate, what our residents do necessarily, but how can we help them so that they know what the expectation is?
Okay, so I think move more proactively and look for opportunities to continue to accelerate through the list, and making sure that everybody has an opportunity to know where they're at and what opportunity they have to move up and get funding more rapidly. Okay.
And also, I think there was a question. One of the residents regarding this item is someone that has already received some sort of funding within a 5-year period is ineligible to receive the same funding again.
Actually, our current policies and procedures do not allow for a household to receive funding again if they've received it in the past.
Okay. So see, and I think that's another very good point that perhaps people they don't realize. They think that maybe there's a time period that they need to wait and then reapply. So I think maybe we need to also do a better job at providing that information from the get-go. Council colleagues, questions, comments?
I just have one question. The wait list order, how is that determined? Is it simply by application date?
Yes.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if we have an idea of how many homes we served in the 2021 through 2022 cycle and possibly the 2022 to 2023 cycle. Just
So 2022, 23, we're currently in, and that's going to be 18 total finished projects. And then 21, 22, I believe you asked me last year in regards to that, and I believe it was 3 total projects because we had shifted our resources to the rental assistance program.
thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, at this time, I will open this item for public comment. Did we receive any written correspondence regarding this item?
Mayor, we did not, but I'd like to ask you if you can please take a short break so that we can address an issue with YouTube.
Absolutely. At this time, we're going to take a couple-minute break. We have a technical issue with YouTube. Thank you. We'll come back in a couple minutes. Okay, it looks like we're ready. Was the issue fixed? Yes, okay, great. If there's no public comment, written. Hang on, guys. I said written public comment. I am going to, there's no public comment. I'm going to move to public comment, and it looks like we have 4 speakers regarding this item. Speaker number 1 may come up.
What color is the card?
This is going to be a purple card. The purple will be for the public hearing comment.
Like this one?
Yes, yes, Herman.
It's Mr. Herman,
Go ahead.
Mayor. So you're trying to get a community development block grant, and this is the scope of the work. This is how housing rehabilitation for repairs, replacing and restoring the exterior or the interior of your home with this so-called HUD loan or a HUD grant. But Janet Hahn helped me out on a grant 3 years ago, and I'm still working on that fucking grant. 3 years ago. I had to get up here on this one because it's a motherfucker giving them all your personal information, all your bank accounts, all your financial status, and these fucking bitch, Janet Hahn and her HUD under the CDBG shit, or what is it? Yeah, CDBG grant has really just made it horrible. And I don't get how the fuck Downey taxpayers put up with this shit. How the fuck do they put up with this shit? Even the people that work there, you must be fucking stupid knowing that your money is going to these paper rubber stamping bullshit of documents that we need an audit on. We need Janet Hahn. We need LA County Development Authority, along with this fucking stupid community development block grant, investigated by the feds and view what the fuck is going on. Even the mayor said it. Didn't she? She said, oh, yeah, why is it taking so long? Because it's fucking corrupt. Corruption upon corruption, taking advantage of seniors, elderly, disabled, and a population of people that don't know what the fuck you guys are doing, pushing paper back and forth, showing the feds that and HUD that you're doing a great job. No, you're not doing a good job, because I'm telling you, you're not. I mean, if you look at page 4, it talks about the improvements to include what? Well, I'll tell you what it includes. I will state it for the record, on the record by the U.S. Department, oppose this fucking shit. You need to oppose it. And if you see all the 56 pages of the guidelines in that book, along with the 16 pages of the other guidelines, it's just horrible to make more livable structures to preserve and protect the welfare of your community. That sounds fucking fishy to me. The same way the DWP faggot got himself slammed and now his bar license is removed. I can't wait to see what this audit by the FBI and a conspiracy to defraud the public by these fucking grants and this fucking HUD and this fucking government of yours that you guys call a success. So 42 U.S.C. 1983, politely, fuck you. There you go, for the record.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Speaker number 2 may come up. Hi, BC.
Good evening.
Good evening.
HUD. Oh, so it looks like we're going to be shorted some money this time around. Thank you, Robert Garcia. We got to have billions of dollars going over to Ukraine so the big guy, Joe Biden, can get his 10% of that money. Okay. Well, you know, some people aren't sure they're going to get serviced on this thing. And the mayor mentioned maybe some need to be dropped off of the list and they don't qualify. Well, they need to get on the same program that LA CATA wants to get on. They went from, they got another 20 grand coming in this program here. Of course, we have our fictional District Number 5 representative is a board member of LA CUTA, which we already give 25 grand for the grooming at the Gay Pride picnic and the grown men dancing for the kids on Friday night.
Topic.
It is. It's LA CUTA got 20 grand out of this. This is being proposed, and the manager needs to work on getting that money for him. We're also getting a donation to the whole child of 50 grand. Now that's up from 25 grand. But yet overall, we're losing money on this deal here. And our residents aren't being served. And then we sent out the notice, which we only get one person responding. We put out a notice through the Downey Patriot, which is nothing but government funded media for this city around here. Well, we already went through the LA Downey Symphony last time, tacking on another 17 grand on top of the 25 grand. Because the editor of the Downey Patriot, the government funded media in Downey, has an editor that is the vice president of the Downey Symphony. That's where the money's going. They don't seem to have any problem getting any of the money distributed to them. That is amazing. But our residents, no, they have to wait at least 3, 4, 5 years, and then they'll get dropped off of the list. So that's where our money's going, folks. The whole child, $50,000. Who's running that thing? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Speaker number 3 may come up.
Okay, so this is the CDBG grant. So this is coming on the heels of the $1.2 trillion that the Congress spent in December, and we're getting a cut. Wow, it's going down. Something so important like housing. Even the mayor, who has not taken previously a very proactive approach to, to helping community members that are impacted by the affordability crisis, even she is now bringing up that, hey, we need to do more. How can we connect people, et cetera, et cetera. But here we go with the 1.2 trillion in December, now reducing the amount here. This again speaks to how our country is completely corrupt at the top, for sure. I think that we, the people, are not corrupt, but you people, you just went, Miss Mayor. You said you went to go see Mr. Garcia, and okay, well, did you take this opportunity to talk very sternly about the fact that why are we spending so many billions upon billions of dollars on things we don't need, things nobody needs? Like the war in Ukraine. How about that, right? It was already mentioned. Why do we have, why are we giving the president, who is a terrorist, more billions upon billions to go attack Germany's infrastructure that brought them that gas from Russia? Why don't we have our money here? This shouldn't be a Democrat or Republican issue, right? This is a common sense issue. You don't have to go back very far in the history of our country when there were elected officials, even in the Congress, who would speak out against this. Why are we wasting our resources overseas, destroying the psychological welfare of our young men and women that are over there, and we're destroying other societies? Why are we doing that? Even recently, how about this quote from a Republican congressman from Kentucky, Massey? $100 billion to Ukraine. Let's put that in perspective. That's more than 200 million this year from each congressional district. What could your congressman have done for your district with $200 billion? So how about, instead of Or in addition to, having the nice brunches with Mr. Garcia, who refuses to show his face at the city council meetings everywhere in the district, let's talk about these very important issues. Let's get more money for us, the people, for our housing and all our needs.
Very interesting comments. Thank you, Mr. Barragan. Speaker number 4. Do we have a speaker number? Oh, there we go.
I'll keep it brief. My name is Juan Martinez. I'm from the 4th District, and I am your delegate for the 64th District for the Democratic Party. One thing that I want to bring to your attention is that we are wasting a lot of money that could be used to house our individuals. Now, many of you are talking about what's the process, what can we do to expedite or make this more efficient? However, it doesn't have to say statements like, I want to make sure that they're getting their resources while making actions here in the city to make sure that they can park here, to make sure that mobile homes, which are a primary source for homeless people, to have some roof over their head, to not be welcome in the city. That is an attack on our constituents, on our homeless, and on our people. And Ms. Rometa, you are a part of that. So you say one thing, but then you continue to attack the same people you claim to be trying to support. To the point that the previous speaker made, you all, some of you have personally here endorsed our congressman. Mr. Trujillo was one of the people who went out of his way to endorse Mr. Garcia. And Ms. Rometa, you apparently met with Mr. Garcia. Please consider notifying them, since you are his supporters or his associates, that he needs to stop sending money to Ukraine to fight a proxy war for big oil. We need our money and our resources here. We don't need it across the seas. And we don't need to use the people of Ukraine as cannon fodder, and we don't need to use our personal or our people in the front lines who are suffering and dying. Aside from that, what can you guys do right now? What can the City Council of Downey do? You guys can write up a letter, craft a good written letter to your local congressman and tell them that the City of Downey collectively disapproves with the sending of money to Ukraine, and that we demand, and I would hope that you incorporate the word demand in that letter, that some of that money be sent to the City of Downey and our districts to support our homeless and our unhoused and our people in need here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Thank you for your comments. Do we have any more speakers regarding the public hearing item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to close public comment. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Please vote.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Well, unless there are any other comments from my council colleagues, I do have to say it is unfortunate we are receiving less funding for CDBG, and it is unfortunate. And as we see federal government cutting on various grants, especially post-COVID, and as cities, we continue to struggle in various forms, but we will gladly take what is before us, even if it's 4.5% less than what we had last year. And one of the things I do have to mention is the whole child. We work through this organization, and we've gone from 25 to 50,000. As the whole child provides housing assistance and resources to the people of the region, including in Downey. And during the recent luncheon at the police and fire luncheon, I had the opportunity to speak with its executive director about, I wanted to ask what we are seeing in, not just in the region, but particularly in Downey, And she did tell me, the executive director, that there has been a tremendous uptick in single parent families that she is seeing refer to the whole child in need of housing resources. And that is what they do. They provide housing so that these families are not living out of their car. Many of them are placed in motels locally for about 7 to 8 months, even sometimes 9 months, until they help them get back on their feet. And so this is happening. And I'm happy to see that the amount is we're doubling that amount from 25,000 to 50,000, because that is the resource center we are working with. And that is a resource center that is here in our city. And we want to make sure that we assist if there is that need for families in our community. Having said that, I will make a motion to approve the staff's recommendation. This is only a finite number that we have. And I do believe that the staff provided us with a thorough report of the allocation of these funds. And I will agree with some of the comments tonight, that it is incumbent upon us to continue to advocate for our communities and speak to our state and federal representatives about greater funding for municipalities to address issues of housing and homelessness. So I will make a motion to approve the staff recommendation. Can I get a second?
Second.
Please vote.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. At this time, I will now take public comment on agenda, consent calendar, and non-agenda items. If you didn't receive a number card and wish to speak, that is the number card that is green. Please proceed to the back of the room to be issued a number card by the city staff. And once again, I will remind our speakers about the rules contained in our Downey Municipal Code about the conduct and the orderly conduct of this meeting. Any behavior that disrupts and disturbs or interferes with the orderly conduct of this meeting or a disruption, those individuals may be removed from this meeting. And violations of the rules of the quorum for council meetings may also result in an administrative fine. I remind the speakers that your comments must also be addressed to me directly and not to any other council member, city staff, or audience. Any yelling or booing or screaming, any other outburst that disrupts or disturbs the meeting, any conduct that interferes with or disrupts persons who are addressing the city council. I'll also remind you this is a business meeting, and we would like to proceed with our business meeting tonight. City Clerk, did we receive any written public comment regarding the agenda items tonight? Okay.
We did, Mayor. We received one written public comment from Casey Bubar requesting a crossing guard at Unsworth Elementary School to address an increase in traffic from the new Chick-fil-A. That is all, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And can you? Yes, I will entertain a motion in a second to receive and file the written public comment. Second, please vote.
Thank you. The motion is approved unanimously.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will have 2 minutes per speaker. And I remind all the speakers that you must remain seated until your number is called. Speaker number 1 may come forward, please. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. I know Jesus said in the Gospels, I was a stranger and you took me in. Let these words sink into your ears. If every Christian family would take in one homeless person into their house and provide for their needs, there would be no homeless issue left for the taxpayers to deal with. I have been boycotting Target stores because a contribution was made to Planned Parenthood by a Target office in Florida. Tonight, I am announcing I am ending my boycott of Target and will shop at Target in the future if I need to buy food or clothing. The reason is this: Jesus said, and I say unto you, make friends for yourselves by unrighteous mammon. This is a partial quotation. You may read the full quotation in the book of Luke. Mammon is wealth or riches. New York State has legalized the killing of babies up to 30 days after live birth. Woe to you, New York State. You have chosen wickedness instead of righteousness. Already the axe is laid at the root of the tree. What is highly esteemed among men is an abomination to God. The pleasure of sin lasts for a season, and when that season is over, there is nothing left but a fearful expectation of wrath. This is your hour and the power of darkness.
Thank you for that. Speaker number 2 may come up.
Collusion. What is a collusion? Well, a collusion can be a violation of my First, Fifth, and 14th Amendment and Article Section of 2 of the California Constitution regarding enforcement of unconstitutional rules of decorum, like the dumb fat fucking bitch did by taking away some of my time to speak tonight of my 3 minutes. But 42 U.S.C. 1983 politely, fuck you. Thank you. And so I go into this language of a complaint under 42 U.S.C. 1983 because goddamn racketeer and damn fucking racist. In my Brandenburg versus Ohio case, how far is the nigger going to? Yeah, this is what we're going to go to the niggers, a dirty nigger, send the Jews back to Israel. Let's give them back to the dark garden, save America. Let's go back to constitutional betterment. This way, in my public testimony, maybe I can save people with those grant monies and that HUD monies. But it sounds like Janet Hahn, poor Janet, is fucking confused about my beliefs in the First Amendment. So that's that issue. Now, regarding the complaint under the ACLU for April 21st, 2023, that will become my public record. And don't forget, all this goes to the FBI, you idiots. And then in closure, collusion, former top city attorney in the case of the DWP corruption of Los Angeles. Sounds familiar, like your fucking program of loans, grants, and HUD. Fuck Los Angeles and fuck the dirty nigger, Mark Ridley Thomas and Jose Luis Huizar, for the record. And in addition to that, Fewer, your chief deputy, is a dick. Thank you. So I'll turn this all into the record because I don't want you to construe my outburst as a violation of your fucking rules. Thank you.
Speaker number 3 may come up, please. Good evening, John.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. Bradley and staff, good evening. I want to talk briefly about two topics that have been on the social conversation a lot for the last couple of years, equity and equality. Briefly stated, equity means it's equal for everyone. It's equality. Equity basically means to be fair and impartial to everyone. Now, as you well know, people in Washington lately have pushed the idea of equity amongst other people. Both of those topics have their benefits. Now, our country became the #1 nation in the world based on maximizing human potential. So what I'm suggesting is that if a person or a group wants to be the best that they can be, they should look to hire or promote people that display the maximum of their human potential. Anything less than that would be lowering the quality of your business or your government that you're involved with or something like that. A few more seconds, let me jump to another topic about Mr. Joe Biden. Not the president, but the human being. Recently, he disclosed that he had 6 grandchildren. He forgot that his son bore a young lady who's now 4 years old. And I do not compliment Mr. Biden for not including that grandchild, which would be his 7th. I think that is atrocious. And as a human being, I detest what he did. This ends my comments. Madam Mayor, I yield my remaining seconds back to you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Lacy. Speaker number 4 may come up, please.
Joe Biden couldn't even acknowledge his 7th grandchild. Wow, that is amazing. But that means he probably has no core moral values whatsoever that he adheres to. He's also molested Tara Reid in the hallways of the Senate as well. And the corporate media covered that up. Of course, we know what government funded media can do, especially even here in Downey. We have our own. I just want to keep pointing out that where the money is going doesn't seem to be a problem. Usually the problem is how we get the money from the residents. And about 2 meetings ago, it was clear that I brought up the Taxpayer Protection Act, and it was voted against by everybody up here. And that was to protect us, to prevent you from taxing us easier. And it's going to be on the ballot. But I want to say that everybody up here, all elected officials, there is not one conservative up here. Because no clear-minded, clear-thinking conservative would have voted against that. Not at all. So you're going to hide behind your nonpartisanship. Yeah, it's all good when the conservative goes over to the liberal side. That's nonpartisanship. That's why I brought up about every Democrat in the Congress voted against the Parent Protection Act, that they have control over their children in the schools. Not one Democrat voted against that. Where was the nonpartisanship then? But if we listen to the articles in our government-funded media newspaper, they even put it on AI. I mean, that's a cheap way to go. And then turned around in the next article and wanted to pay Stay Gallery some money, but they give you the same text from the previous article. Push the wrong button, I guess. Okay, so a non-human telling us what's good for us. But it's good to see LA Cata and their representatives in here asking for more money. Just like the Stay Gallery and all the rest of them. That's where the money's going, folks.
Thank you for that. Speaker number 5.
Okay, so 2 minutes. Wow, that's usually only when it's overflowing, which it's not today. So of course, the mayor continues her long-running train wreck of silencing the public by giving us less time. But 2 minutes is 2 minutes. If Mr. Trujillo becomes mayor, I'm sure it's going to be 1 minute. There's no way that, he'll tolerate the public speaking up for longer than that. Because the public is very concerned about everything that is indeed happening. Okay, we've heard about the FBI and stuff. Yes, so it's really interesting, right? The FBI is filing all of these public records requests. They're going in. People have talked. People have sang. Because bad things have happened, not just in Downey and other cities too. So it's great. That's one element of our government that maybe is going okay. The public corruption prosecutions that are going on and that will continue to go on and are currently expanding right around here. So it's great that we do have that. And it's also great that we are getting a little bit of, we've been defended. I think I saw Mr. Martinez is being defended by the ACLU because another agency decided to silence his rights. And that's what we're going to have. We're going to have an expansion of rights for the public. We're going to take back our rights that you've stolen. This council has stolen, especially, yes, the mayor from Meta. And because we deserve our rights respected, we deserve our rights expanded. And it's going to be really clear that now that the truth is coming out about the players in the city, like Mario Guerra, everyone's mad about him and what he's been doing. Yeah, because what he's doing on the planning commission and what he did up there and what all of you up there are doing, that is wrong and it needs to stop.
Thank you for that. Speaker number 6 may come up.
All right. My name is Juan Martinez. I am a constituent of the District 4, and I am the representative delegate for the Democratic Party of the 64th District, including Downey. 2 minutes is not enough to speak on agenda, consent calendar, and non-agenda. This is to steal from the public, to limit their voices and their freedom of speech. 2 minutes is an atrocity, and you should be ashamed of yourself, Mayor. To the city attorney, I would like the city attorney to provide the legal citing that allows Downey to combine agenda, non-agenda, and consent calendar items into one public comment. I would also like the city attorney to provide the minutes or source which legally authorized the change to 3 minutes for public comment. I believe it was voted that it would be 4 minutes, but it is written in the agenda that it's 3 minutes. I don't know who took that executive decision, but if it is a mistake, make sure you clarify it and notify the public. Also, please provide the legal citing that dictates that the mayor is allowed to limit the public comment to 30 minutes for public speaking, and that she can change the minutes to whatever she likes, 1 minute or 2 minutes at her personal discretion. The chamber belongs to the people and the taxpayers. You are all paid by your constituents and you are all elected to serve your constituents. For you to say that you want to cut public comment just so you could go home earlier, as Mr. Trujillo has said in the past, or because you don't want to be here all night, like Ms. Fermetta has said in the past, it is not your time. It is the people's time. And if you don't believe that you can work on the people's dime and dollar, then you should not be up there at all. So make sure that you begin to make these corrections. As one of the previous speakers said, I am working currently with the ACLU to address corruption at the Central Water Basin, and I am definitely talking to them about corruption and concerns here in the city of Downey. So the ACLU will be knocking at your door.
Thank you for that. Speaker number 7 may come up. Good evening.
I want to tell you something too about the time. In order to be here, I had to close my business 2 hours. To get 2 minutes, I don't think it's fair. But anyways, let me try to go to this, my subject. Okay, before it was a trash, loud music, people urinate and pooping, drinking alcohol and smoke weed, and sometimes even have sex. But like I told you many times, Madam Mayor Formera, this issue has only one way, straight forward to the worst. And the more recent event we have in my street is an armed robbery. I'm pretty sure you know about that already. And my question for you is, what are you waiting for? For home invasions? For somebody get murdered? Or a little kid being killed by a reckless driver? I want to tell you, all of you guys, we not just building a wall. We try to say some lies. We're living on fear. I opened my door the other day. It was a car running with the windows tinted. The robbers go into my neighbor's driveway. Thank you. And back up and park in front of my house. Thank God, just take the guy's money. But imagine that is happening in my street. All these things happen in my street. And we hear every 15 days asking for help. I don't want to tell you one day, Madam Mayor Formera, I told you that's going to happen. I don't think we need blood in order to do things. Please help us. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And typically during public comment, I don't speak on matters brought before us. However, in this situation with the Manzanar and Meldar issue, this is about the wall that we've been working on for several months. And this is regarding a public safety issue that you are bringing up. And so I will ask our city manager to look into the update on the wall, where we are with that, as well as additional patrols for that particular street. It looks like continuing increased criminal activity or suspicious activity?
Yeah, Mayor. So we have been studying the traffic impacts of the temporary barrier that has been placed at the end of Manzanar. We have completed that study. We found that the placement of a barrier there has not created any negative impacts for traffic-wise on the rest of the community, and therefore a wall would not be impactful to the community from a traffic perspective. At this point, we are reaching out to do a survey of the residents that live along Manzanar and Meldar to ensure that there is wide acceptance of making a permanent wall at that location at the end of Manzanar. That is going out to the households again on Manzanar and Meldar. And at this point, we want to make sure that at least there's 75% of the residents there that are accepting of that change, at which point we will proceed forward with the wall. I have talked to the police chief about doing some additional patrols in that area in the meantime, and they will be doing that. So we are proceeding and getting close to the end of that project.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager Bradley. Speaker number 7 may come up.
Hey.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members.
Good evening.
I'm still waiting for that response from you. You said you were going to get back to me about meeting with my neighbors. You were going to let me know of your agenda whenever you're available. Anyways, I'm sorry, I wrote this as I was driving. I was just speaking to my phone. Well, things have certainly gone out of control in our neighborhood. People parked inside their cars on a daily basis, eating, playing loud music, or just sitting in their car, staring at you as you go out in and out of your home. You have to look over your shoulder at all times, whether you're coming or going. And we are scared to death when our kids come home late, especially now since that robbery to the taco place. These criminals parked in front of our houses, this whole situation with this people park in our neighborhood to go eat at the taco place, Starbucks, or Arthur's has truly robbed us out of our peace and tranquility, not to mention our safety. In the comfort of our own home, our children are terrified. I mean, we live in Downey, not Compton or other ghetto cities that are nothing, that don't care about their neighbors. You mentioned about talking to the neighbors. I mean, these people do not live in the area where we live, where everything happens. So our neighbors are not going to care whether you put that wall or not. And some of them might object because they use that entrance as a shortcut. I'm thinking, that is so unfair to us that come every time to the meeting, and we fight. We're fighting for our peace, for our tranquility. So I mean, we are basically in the epicenter where everything happens. And we're scared. We're scared that every time we come out, who's going to be there? We don't know the person that's there. And now with this happened, this robbery that happened in our street, our children are terrified. So please help us.
I would like to, from a legal standpoint, there are legal reasons why we have to take this approach. And I would like for members of the audience, for our residents to understand that it's not that we don't want to move forward with that. There are pathways and avenues that we as a city must follow. We must do our due diligence. And again, I will defer to our city attorney to explain further from a legal standpoint.
Sure, I'd be happy to. There are provisions of the vehicle code that set out exactly how and when streets can be closed. And so when the item was brought before the city council a few months ago, there was a plan set out for a temporary closure to study that temporary closure and then make the findings needed to adopt a permanent barrier across the street once those findings have been made. So as the city manager mentioned, they're doing the study. I think the study's finished to look at how effective and or impactful the temporary barrier was. And with that information, the item can be brought forward to implement a more permanent solution.
Thank you, City Attorney. Now, from a perspective of safety, again, I will call upon our police department. And folks, I hear you. I hear you, and I wish I could do something more immediate. We are doing everything we can to get the process moving. I wish I could tell you it was in my power to close the taco shop, to close the Starbucks, to close the other business. I can't. That is not an option for us as a city council. What we can do is move forward with a study, and it is, your neighborhood and your neighbors, and talking to them about making sure they sign that they're on board with having that wall built is going to also make it easier for us to then proceed. Secondly, there is also so much our police department can do in terms of continuous patrols. Let me tell you that the crime that we are seeing, not just in Downey, across the region, across the state, continues to spike. And we are doing everything we can to provide as many patrols as we can where we can. And I feel your frustration, and I am just as frustrated as you are, because I feel that our neighbor, it's not fair. It's not fair for our neighborhoods. It's not fair for our children. We are living in very difficult times, and it's frustrating not to have the immediate police presence that we need. Sometimes our police officers are tied up addressing other crimes within our city. And We are doing our best. And I know that our best may not seem enough to you. I get your emails and I get the emails from Mr. Rowland as well. And sometimes there are no updates. I don't have an update one day over next or 1 week over next. We are waiting on the results and we are moving forward with what we have. And I'm sorry that's not what you want to hear, but that's where we find ourselves. Thank you. Now, if you're going to boo, this is the one warning you will get. This is based on our pursuant to the Downey Municipal Code. This information is in the back. If you continue to be disruptive and booing while I speak or any member of the council, I will give you one warning. And after that, I will ask you to leave. I'm not directing it at you, Herman. I'm directing to Mr. Martinez and whoever else said boo. Thank you. Speaker number 8 may come up. Number 9. Thank you, Mr. Rowland.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm not going to harp on the wall. I think my neighbors have said enough. But it's been 10 months today that we've been coming here asking for help. I will not leave my child at home anymore. After the taco shop owner was robbed at gunpoint, pulled in my neighbor's driveway, backed out, parked on my side of the street, walked in front of my house, my other neighbors with a gun. We've already said our piece. We've already told you how we feel. We've already asked. Now my next complaint is code enforcement. They've done nothing. 9 businesses around our neighborhood. There's trash constantly in the alley. Music, people park where they want, when they want. Nobody comes unless we call. You can check the police department call log, how many times I call every single day. When we first asked for the wall, we first asked for help, the police were nonstop. They were there every single day, all day long, code enforcement. Now you don't see them anywhere, nowhere. Why do we have to call when they know there's an issue? Why do we have to call them? We don't want to close the businesses. We don't want you to close the businesses. We've never asked you to close those businesses. Hold them accountable. That's what we want. If Starbucks, Arthur's, the car wash, the taco shop, that trash in the alley is not for me. It's not for my neighbors, but we're the ones that go back there, mow the lawn, we pick up the trash. Where's code enforcement? Why are they not doing their job? Anyways, that's all I had to say. Besides, this week is Nurses Week, so maybe we should celebrate nurses.
Yes, Mr. Rowland, I celebrated nurses and the public servants at the beginning of the meeting. So thank you for everything you do and everything you've done over the last many years as a nurse. We appreciate you. If I can have, yes, applause for our nurses once again. Thank you. Really, thank you. If I can, I know our city manager took notes on this, and we will have code enforcement as well as additional patrols in that location. Speaker number 10 may come up, please.
Hello, everyone. I build affordable housing for a living. I have a construction company. So across the city, Long Beach, other cities, I build ADUs. I build single family residences. That's what I do for a living. And I build them for myself too. I live in Downey, right? You guys have an ordinance number 22-1479 stating LEED certification that has to be platinum. What's LEED certification? It's making sure that the place is energy efficient. And this only goes for SB 9, which got passed early last year. So this LEED certification, you guys are requiring platinum, which only high rises have. So you guys are talking about passing affordable living for the transients and everything that's going on here in Downey. I'm trying to do that on the other side. But this LEED certification that you guys are requiring, a platinum LEED certification that only high rises have, makes it impossible for any homeowner to come and try to do this in your city. We're talking about that. Just that in itself costs around $50,000. Plus architects, plus engineers to put affordable living in your city. which is my city, right? So I want you guys to keep that in mind, and I will reach out to you, Mayor, in regards to this. No other city requires this except Downey. So it's a small little section in the ordinance, but this little section is preventing anybody from moving forward. ADUs, you're spending $10,000 max. This, I'm at around $100,000 already. So I'm asking for you guys' help. I will reach out to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have my card, and I know we have our Community Development Director, also from the folks at Manzanar. Here's my card. Please get a hold of my executive assistant to get an appointment with me. I don't have my schedule in front of me. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that.
And Madam Mayor, if I could be educated on that as well, I'd like to fact check that and learn a little more about this platinum lead issue to see if that's true. I find that troubling. So I would like some information on that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Do we have any more speakers? Have we missed anybody?
Well,
seeing none, I will entertain a motion in a second to close public comment.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Okay, now is the time for consent calendar. And again, if anybody has any questions regarding public comment, the time and when that time or how that time is modified by the mayor, any mayor that is sitting in this chair, you can find that information in our Downey Municipal Code. At this time, consent calendar, are there any council members that would like to remove or abstain from an item?
Madam Mayor, I have to abstain from item number 10 and item number 15 on the consent calendar. Is I am conflicted because my ownership interest in commercial real estate that I own in proximity to these matters.
Noted. MPT. Anyone else? Okay.
Here you go, Lisa. And Madam Mayor, I also have to abstain from or recuse from the council meetings of March 28th, as I was not present.
Okay. Noted, MPT. It looks like MPT was abstaining from items number 10, 15, and the council meeting minutes from March 28th. Other than that, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Please vote.
The consent calendar is approved with Mayor Pro Tem Trujillo abstaining from item number 2, meeting minutes of March 28, 2023, and items number 10 and 15.
We thank you for that. We have 3 administrative reports this evening. Number 16 on the agenda is the prohibition of the unlawful possession of detached catalytic converters that the City Council introduced by title only and waive full reading of ordinance number 23-1506, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Downey, adding chapter 1.5, unlawful possession of catalytic converter of Article 4, Public Welfare, Morals, and Policy of the Downey Municipal Code to prohibit the unlawful possession of catalytic converters in the city. City Manager Bradley, is there a staff report?
Yes, Mayor. Chief Murray will provide a couple of comments and then Prosecutor Jim Eckert will provide the staff report. City Prosecutor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. So the city has experienced an increased number of catalytic converter thefts, just as most cities have in the region. And in an effort to deter those types of crimes from happening and to help law enforcement better hold those types of criminals accountable, we've asked our city prosecutor, Jim Eckert, to put together an ordinance to make it illegal to unlawfully possess catalytic converters. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our city prosecutor, Jim Eckert, to do the presentation.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Madam Mayor, City Council members, City Manager.
Jen.
Okay, so what's being proposed today, as the chief indicated, is ordinance 23-1506, which is set to prohibit the unlawful possession of catalytic converters. I'm going to do something unique tonight and keep it very brief, so we'll see how it goes. First off, what is a catalytic converter? A catalytic converter is a part of an exhaust system for vehicles. And the idea with a catalytic converter is that it converts toxic hazardous emissions into less toxic emissions. And so you can see kind of what an example of a catalytic converter is up on the screen for you. What's going on right now is that there is an increase, as the chief indicated, with thefts. It's been going on for several years. This is a result of a number of different factors, but as you can see with the numbers that have been reported by the Department of Consumer Affairs and Department of Motor Vehicles with respect to catalytic converter thefts, it's gone from approximately 1,300 nationally in 2018 to over 52,000 in 2021. This is a massive increase. And the reality is approximately 37% of these are in the state of California, with approximately 1,600 per month. So this is a big deal. And the question then comes in, of course, why? Why are catalytic converters becoming such a target for theft? There's really three particular reasons. Number one of that is the actual catalysts that they utilize are precious metals, and that's palladium, rhodium, and platinum. And so what's going on is thieves are taking the catalytic converters from the underside of the vehicle, which is the second reason why it's increasing, is because of the ease with which it can be done. But they are utilizing basically handheld tools to cut off the catalytic converter and then mine it for the precious metals, which they can then go sell. The parts, if you will, or the precious metals that come from the catalytic converters can be resold for anywhere from $200 to over $1,000. And they can be removed from vehicles in less than 60 seconds. So it's a combination of the precious metals that you can get and the ease with which thieves can do it. But there's a third reason, and the third reason is really the difficulties of prosecuting a case for the theft of a catalytic converter. Catalytic converters don't come pre-marked with any type of identification number. And so the city of Downey, like other cities, have actually put together programs. We have a third one coming up where they etch identification numbers into the catalytic converters or onto the catalytic converters. I believe our third one is coming up in
This month.
this month. And again, the idea with that is that if we do recover a stolen catalytic converter, we'd be able to identify where it came from. But as a general rule, if it doesn't have that and they don't come pre-marked with them, it's very difficult to identify who the victim of this crime was. So when these cases get submitted to the district attorney's office, or even at the initial enforcement stage, if we don't have a victim, it becomes very difficult, if not impossible, to prosecute this type of a theft. And that's where this ordinance comes into play, is how do we kind of deal with that issue? The state of California recently adopted let me back it up. The state of California has been reviewing various statutes over the last couple of years to try and assist local jurisdictions and the state in prosecuting these types of crimes. Unfortunately, it still doesn't resolve the issue that all law enforcement agencies are having when it comes to identifying victims of these crimes. So the proposed ordinance actually tries to resolve that. The way that it does that is it would prohibit all persons other than a core recycler from possessing a catalytic converter that is not attached to a vehicle unless that person has verifiable proof of ownership. Okay, so it's a very simple ordinance. What constitutes verifiable proof of ownership? In order to do that, the person would have to have information that would include the license plate and vehicle identification number for the originating vehicle, that would be the vehicle from which the catalytic converter that they're in possession of came from. They would have to have the contact information for the owner of the vehicle from which that catalytic converter came from, a bill of sale from a core recycler or from the vehicle owner, and obviously the contact information for the current owner of this catalytic converter. So without that information, the possession of a catalytic converter that's detached from a vehicle that's not in the possession of a core recycler would be deemed to be unlawful. It makes the enforcement much easier. And one of the benefits of this is the way that our ordinance is drafted. And by the way, this is an ordinance that is very similar to ordinances that have been enacted by a number of other jurisdictions, both local and statewide. But is one, it does not require proof of theft. So we don't have to demonstrate proof of theft when prosecuting these crimes. Rather, we just need to prove that the person that was in possession of them did not have the proof of ownership. And two, it doesn't require identification of the victim or the presence of the victim in court in order to actually successfully prosecute this case. So based on both of those things, it would definitely assist law enforcement in cracking down on this thing that, as I indicated, and based on the numbers, is becoming not only an issue for the city of Downey, and some of those numbers have been put in the staff report as well about specifically the number of thefts that have gone more than double in the last couple of years in the city, but all throughout the state as well. And with that, I'm available for any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, Jim, for the report. Council colleagues, do you have any questions? And Jim, maybe for, again, purposes of informing the public, since many of them may not have the report in front of them, could you tell us what number of thefts we have seen, or the increase year over year?
In the city of Downey?
Correct.
Yes, in the city of Downey, we had approximately, give me just one moment. We had 100 and I'm just trying to find it in the staff report, excuse me. 142 in 2020. We had 340 in 21 and 22. So again, it's increased from approximately 142 to 340. That's just in our city alone. And that's despite the fact that the city has already conducted 2 of these etching events where we provide etching of numbers into the catalytic converters. And again, we've got a 3rd one that's scheduled for later this month.
So that is, and I'm looking at the report right now, that is an increase of 140% increase since 2020.
And I will add to that, even though I
And
said I
that's
would,
just City of Downey.
even though I said I would keep it brief, I'll add one more thing to that is ultimately this ends up costing the taxpayers a substantial amount of money, because in order to replace these, it's costing vehicle owners who sometimes car insurance won't cover it. If they only have the bare minimum, it won't necessarily cover it. But it's costing $1,000 to $2,000 to do the replacement. So this ends up creating a big issue. And obviously that results in increases in insurance rates for everybody. So this is a big issue.
And I just wanted to also point out, again, for the public, those seeing us on YouTube, the similar ordinances have been adopted or are being considered by multiple local jurisdictions throughout the state. And a few of the jurisdictions that have already adopted similar prohibitions against the unlawful possession of catalytic converters include the cities of Norwalk, Bellflower, Whittier, La Mirada, Artesia, Lakewood, Huntington Beach, and Los Angeles. So again, we would be in good company if we were to adopt these.
That's correct. And there are several more that are considering them now and will be presenting them to their council within the next couple of months.
Thank you. But and again, I know a lot of this information is in our report and we know this, but I went ahead and read it again, for purposes of sharing information with our residents and the public. Colleagues, any questions, comments?
I got questions. I got kind of three scenarios for you. And I think I know what it is, but I want you to confirm it under chapter 1.5, 4180, section E, where it's verifiable ownership. Okay, the first scenario would be I go in to have my catalytic converter changed. Now, is there a paper trail? It probably is a paper trail that the owner would have to sign over that I've released my catalytic converter, I got a new catalytic converter.
That is correct. So core recyclers are governed by the Business and Professions Code, and there's a laundry list of information that they need to maintain and records that they need to maintain if they are taking a catalytic converter from a vehicle.
Okay. Second scenario would be I'm towing my car away, I'm selling it, giving it to the junkyard. Are they required to have the paperwork saying that I'm giving the ownership of the car plus the catalytic converter? Do I sign off on that?
If you are signing over the vehicle in its entirety, yes.
Becomes the owner of the.
They become the owner of every component of that vehicle.
Okay. And then the last one has to do with the black market where someone entirely steals the vehicle, chops it up, takes a chop shop, and then sells the parts. Goes to maybe a black market, somewhere where they just sell it on the black market or they dispose of it for its metal. There's no paper trail there. Is there any way to track it?
Well, that's the very problem that we're encountering, right? Because those catalytic converters don't, if it doesn't have the identification number, then no, it's going to be almost impossible to track that catalytic converter. If we were to find it detached from the vehicle, to be able to track it back to the original owner or the original vehicle. But that's the exact reason for this type of a law, is to fill that hole in the state laws, because it allows us to go after people who are in possession of it without that verifiable proof of ownership.
Possession.
That's
I
correct.
understand that.
That's correct.
And I just want to make sure the paper trail is there. The black market,
well,
30 years ago, they sold the vehicle, they dismantled it, and they sold out the parts, and that was it.
Correct.
It disappeared.
Correct. And that's the exact issue that we're having. And so the answer to your question is there would be proof, a paper trail, if you will, for scenarios 1 and 2, but definitely not for scenario 3 if the vehicle's been stolen and then stripped.
And there's no way really to track it. If they stole the vehicle and they just sold it off and someone sold it. Even if they shipped it out of the country, we wouldn't be able to track the shipping of the catalytic converters, the doors, whatever is being there. Okay, thank you.
Hearing none, I will make a motion. Can I get a second to introduce this ordinance?
I will second.
Please vote. Thank you, Jim, for your presentation.
Thank you.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you for that. Item number 17 on the agenda is discuss the proposed procedures for the police department's carry concealed weapons permitting process. City Manager Bradley, is there a staff report on this?
Yes, Mayor. Captain Brian Baker will provide a staff report.
Hello, Captain Baker.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello. Thank you for being so patient.
Oh, no problem. Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, Mr. Bradley and staff. I'm here tonight to discuss the police department's proposed plan for processing concealed weapons permits, commonly referred to as a CCW permit. A little bit of background: for the past several years, the police department has had an agreement with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and they handled all processing of applications for CCW permits originating from Downey residents. That recently changed in August of 2022 as a result of a Supreme Court case decision that originated out of a case in the state of New York. That case struck down the good cause requirement that many states and municipalities were requiring for people to show in order to be issued a CCW permit. As a result of that, the number of CCW applications multiplied tremendously, and the Sheriff's Department, because of the high number, they had to end the contract or the agreement that they had with the Downey Police Department to handle those applications. Since last year when that happened, the police department's been researching
various practices that will allow us to process these applications efficiently while making sure that we do conduct thorough background investigations. Due to the amount of staff time it takes to process a single CCW applicant, we decided to explore outside vendors to handle this task. We reached out to numerous law enforcement agencies in the area and became aware of 2 companies, private vendors, that handle this type of service. We got presentations from both vendors, and after discussing it amongst our staff at the police department, we decided that the company that goes by myccw.us, owned by Mike Pino and Associates, was the right fit for our needs. The company in question utilizes certified background investigators and handles the application process, conducts background investigations, and assists the applicants in scheduling various appointments to complete the first portion of the process. For their services, Mike Pino and Associates is billing the applicant at $398 for the process. At the end of their process, the vendor will provide the police department with a complete background, which will also include certifications for the range training and the psychological review. Assuming that the applicant is efficient in providing the required documents during the background investigation, this whole process should only take about 30 to 45 days. That package will then be delivered to the police department and reviewed by the chief or her designee, and a determination will be made if we're going to issue a CCW permit. If a permit is issued, we will charge a $100 administrative fee, which will be paid here at the police department. In addition to the $398 fee and the $100 administrative fee, the applicant will also be responsible for additional fees, which will be passed through expenses paid directly to various vendors, including a $25 life scan fee, DOJ background fee, which is about $93, range training fees that start somewhere around $175, depending on the qualified range that the applicant attends. And then $150 will be charged to the applicant for a psychological review. Because of state statute, we can only, the applicant can only be billed $150 for this psychological review, which generally run about $300 with our contract psychiatrists. So the city would be responsible for that additional $150. A little bit of background on the fees that we are charging. In 2016, the city commissioned a fee study which determined the cost incurred by city staff to process a single CCW applicant was approximately $2,330. That cost did not include other fees that I talked about, like the DOJ fees, life scan fees, range training, and the psychological review. Currently, our fee schedule allows us to charge the applicant $339. So obviously, the fee schedule would have to be amended and changed with these additional fees. If direction is given, the next step would be to return before council in 2 weeks to approve the contract with Mike Pino and Associates and modify our fee schedule. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Captain Baker. What is the, how often is CCW renewed?
I mean, it would be a year-long contract, but we could extend it past a year.
For an individual that wants to go?
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the
not
private
Pino
vendor.
and Associates. What I'm saying is for someone that, again, the total application process, including the background investigation, the fees, et cetera, comes out to approximately $941. And the renewal is $348. How often is the CCW renewed? Every 2 years?
2 years. And the fees drop slightly for renewals. Mr. Pino and Associates, they go down to $348. The DOJ fees go down, and we cannot require a psychological review on a renewal unless there's just cause to require that.
Question: how many over the last couple of years? How many CCWs did originated out of Downey? I know we said we would send them over to the sheriffs. How What numbers have we seen?
We
And have
reached
we
it.
seen an increase?
We reached out to the sheriff's department and they didn't have a number for us at this time. So currently since August, when the sheriff's department stopped processing those applications, right now we have 43 applications that are waiting to be processed. So we're giving a rough estimate. We're guessing somewhere around maybe 50 to 60 applications a year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said how many applications we have now?
We have 43.
43.
Yes.
Okay. And you said it would take anywhere between 30 to 45 days to complete the process. And this includes the psychological exam through the county, through us.
The psychological exam would be handled by the counseling team, which is our contract psychological team that the department uses. And assuming that, again, a lot of this is in the hands of the applicant on how quick they can return documents and schedule their appointments. We would hope that based on Mr. Pino's past practice, that he provides us with a complete background, including the psych exam and the range qualification within 30 to 45 days. At that point, we're probably looking at, on the conservative side, maybe a 2 to 3 week turnaround inside of the police department for it to be reviewed by department staff and issue the permit.
Colleagues, any additional questions or comments?
I got question. I'm looking at the 2016 total costs was 2330. And I'm wondering how much we're bleeding because according to your chart, we're giving away the 398 to the vendor. We're responsible for $150 of the psychological exam. We're also giving away the actual cost of the safety class to the vendor. How much of the city is paying the excess, or is it going to be passed on to the people that ask for the permit?
So the range fees, the range training, that was not included in the $2,300 estimate that was done in 2016. That estimate was purely based on staff time, which would include department personnel handling the background investigation. One of the main concerns that we have with this process, with the number of applications that we have, is the amount of staff time that it would take inside the building for us to handle a thorough and complete background investigation. I've gone over one of their prepared background investigation, and the document is in excess of 20 pages. It's very thorough. I think we're getting a good, fair amount of work for the price that they're charging for the $398.
So M. Pino and Associates is doing most of the work. Is the cost being passed on to the city of Downey, or can it be passed on to the actual person asking for the permit?
So
other than the 150 on the psychological.
The applicant themselves has to pay Mike Pino and Associates the $398 for them to do the background and collect all the documents that are required for the background. So those fees are paid directly to the outside vendor. They do not go through the police department.
Okay, and we don't pick up any excess costs there.
No, we don't.
The only excess cost that you're telling me is the psychological exam, where we're paying 150.
That is correct. Other than our staff time inside the building to review the finished product given to us by the vendor.
So we're paying our own staff. We're not getting reimbursed for that.
No, we're not.
Okay. On the when they extend it or they get the 2 years, are we recovering any costs at that point?
If
when they renew it a second year or third year?
If on their renewal application, they have to pay Mike Pino and Associates it's $348 for them to complete another background investigation. And then internally, due to state statute, we're only allowed to charge $25 for an administrative fee for us to process the application once that is done. So we do incur more costs, and that's based just solely on staff time. For the renewal application, we cannot require a psychological review unless there's just cause to do so. We can't just have a blanket policy that we're going to make everyone go to a site that is renewing their CCW license.
Yeah, because I'm looking at this and they're doing the work and they're entitled to the fees and everything, but we're paying some of the costs and we're kind of bleeding because every application that goes through, we're paying some fees on it.
For the
Psychological test,
yes.
we're limiting the amount we can get on the staff time on the renewal. And so we're losing money each time it's renewed.
Yes, if you look at it that way, but on the flip side, if you look at it as the way the fee schedule is lined out right now, we're only allowed to recover $339 of that $2,330. And just based on the amount of staff time it would take for us to do the background, it's going to be well over the $339. So while we don't have the money coming in, we are saving a fair amount of staff time.
Okay. Thank you.
Hope that made sense. I apologize if it did.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at it's at the discretion of the police chief, and the more applications that go through, we lose every time an application goes through because we're limited on psychological tests. We're limited on how much we can get kind of compensated for our employee staff. So in the long run, we're paying the fees that maybe the person that's applying for the permit should pass through to them rather than be put on the police department.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much, Captain Baker.
Thank you, Mayor. This was just an informational item. We'll take the feedback we had from this meeting and bring it back to you at the next meeting for final adoption of the program.
Thank you for that, City Manager Bradley. The last item on our agenda is number 18, discuss options for conducting virtual or hybrid meetings under AB 2449, authorization for council members' remote attendance pursuant thereof. City Manager Bradley, who's giving us the report?
This one will come from Ms. Langer and our interim city attorney.
Yes, hi, good evening. The purpose of this item is to talk about how the city council wants to implement AB 2449, which was adopted last year, which is an option for hybrid remote participation for council members at Brown Act meetings. But let me back up a little bit and talk about all the teleconferencing options so you understand the impact of this one that's being discussed tonight. As you know, Brown Act meetings happen in meeting rooms, and occasionally there's a need to teleconference in. So the Brown Act has always had provisions for what we call traditional teleconferencing. And it's a little bit burdensome, but it's always been in the Brown Act. And it allows a council member to call in to a meeting so long as at least of a quorum of the members of the body who are also participating remotely are all in locations within the agency's jurisdiction. So 5 of you couldn't teleconference in from different parts of the world. Most of the body has to be within the agency's jurisdiction. But what's interesting about the original teleconferencing option is that you're essentially creating a new meeting room. Wherever you are, you have to post a meeting agenda on your location. We post the location on this agenda, and you have to open up that room to the public. So anyone could come in and participate with you in that room. It's a little strange. It wasn't used too often, but it was the option for how to teleconference into a meeting if you were up in Sacramento and, on a legislative trip and you were going to miss a council meeting. It was the way to call in. So all votes were taken by roll call. And it was just literally a council member, on the speakerphone calling into the meeting. If there were technical difficulties, we would have to stop the meeting. Essentially, it would create multiple meeting rooms. So that's always in the Brown Act. Then we had remote meetings, which we all got very familiar with during COVID. And that was when we were all at home remote, all on Zoom. And then at some point, it may have transitioned here to hybrid meetings where some people were in the room, some people were on Zoom. And so those provisions are still in the Brown Act for the rest of this year, but they're not really relevant to this discussion because we can't make the health and safety findings needed to conduct those types of hybrid meetings. So the one thing that the legislature came up with last year was this. They realized that sometimes there is an occasion where a council member may not be able to participate in person at a meeting because of a health issue, an emergency, or a family issue. So they came up with this kind of mix of the 2 different types of teleconferencing options under AB 2449 to say that if a council member has just cause or a medical emergency, there's a possibility to remote participate in the meeting, subject to very specific and technical requirements. So I think it comes from a good place of trying to modernize the Brown Act, but it's very clunky to implement if you're not already providing hybrid meeting format where the public calls in from home. Some cities have been doing that. So what we're here to talk about tonight is whether or not the council wants to give authorization to do any type of hybrid meeting in the future. There's no current pending request from any council member. It's just a moment to figure out what the council wants to do if a request comes in. So essentially, if a council member has a medical or family emergency, they would make a request to the city. And what makes this a little bit difficult under 2449 is a couple things. The council member calling in from wherever location they are has to do so with both audio and visual enabled, which means your camera has to be on the entire time of the meeting, and the camera view of you has to be on, the Jumbotron here. It has to be broadcast out. So that's a little different than how hybrid meetings were run before. The council member has to disclose if there's anyone over 18 in the room with them while they're participating in the meeting. What's interesting about 2449 is it's not just about the council member. If you do this, you also have to make the meetings accessible remotely by the public. And so they also have to be able to call in or participate remotely if you were to utilize this. So there has to either be a two-way audio-visual platform. I would think of that as Zoom, which people can talk and show the video, or you could do a phone call as long as you're broadcasting your meetings over YouTube, your cable channel, your website, some sort of live broadcasting. The problem can be there's sometimes a delay between when you broadcast out and what's happening in this room. It can be 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, but it can make it very awkward for the people at home to try and participate and talk at the right time and be called on at the right time when there's a little bit of a delay. So it's clunky. So another complication with AB 2449 is that the agenda has to explain, we post our agendas at least 72 hours in advance, and they have to explain if someone's going to remote in and if there's a public participation option, a call-in number or a Zoom information. And so if we don't know from the council how you want to handle this in advance, staff doesn't know whether to put up an agenda that has this remote option or not. So it's better to have this conversation now, and we can hear from the council how you want to do it. So that if a request came in from a council member, staff would know how to do the agenda. Like we saw a lot during COVID, if there was any disruptions in the meeting, if you're doing the hybrid option, you have to stop the meeting and you can take no further action until the technical disruption is fixed. All votes are by roll call vote. And as I mentioned, the public must be able to participate also. So the reasons a council member might ask to do this is called just cause, which can be childcare, family caregiving needs, contagious illness, physical or mental disability, or travel on official business. Just cause can only be used 2 times in a year. Emergency circumstances are more about a family or physical medical emergency that prevents in-person attendance. And all of these options cannot be used, I think, for more than 20% of meetings in the year. So as we mentioned, it's doable, but it's something that requires advance input from the council before the city staff considered changing any meeting format to have a hybrid meeting, because you haven't been doing hybrid meetings or any type of remote meetings for quite some time. So we wanted to get input from the council tonight on how to implement 2449. And I'll say one last thing. If the council does not want to pursue hybrid meeting options under 2449, the reason I told you about traditional teleconferencing is because that's always available. That I'm going to call it a little old-fashioned method of calling into a meeting. If you post the location is still always available, even if you don't utilize this more modern but complicated option. So that concludes my report. I'll answer any questions, or we're open to feedback on how the council wants to handle it.
Thank you, Madam Interim City Attorney. Colleagues, do you have thoughts, comments on this?
When I'm reading through this, it says that the quorum has to physically be in one place. So let's say out of the 4 of us, 2 are physically here, but the mayor is stuck on Snowbound in New York. So because she's not physically here, we do not have a quorum. Is that right?
That's correct. You have to have
Okay.
3 of you here in order to do this.
Okay, so even if we had a major tragedy, we, 3 of us physically have to be in one location. We cannot be each calling in or each on Zoom.
That is correct. Under 2449 and majority, this is not about when a bigger issue is going on in the city. This is for when one individual council member has a personal need that can't be here. That's what this would cover.
More on the medical.
More on the medical
Yeah, okay.
family issue.
I think as Madam City Attorney just indicated, we can go back to, we still have the Brown Act, and we have that option that you've mentioned without having to get into AB 2449. This, I think it's very clunky and it just seems a little more complicated. The other option continues, is still available to us if needed.
I agree. After listening to the presentation, thank you, Madam City Attorney. I think it seems like a very cumbersome process. I was the one that asked that this be discussed because I knew my pending medical issues and I knew that I would be absent for one. I thought maybe more meetings, but I'm here today. And then we know what happened and we were not able to continue with the city's business. But after listening to this proposal under this legislation, I don't think it's something we need to consider since we do have the other option. So thank you for the information.
Thank you. Anybody else? So then I don't think we need to take any action on this item. Thank you. Thank you for providing us this information. Thank you. Okay, at this time, if we've come to the end of our meeting, it is now 9:27 and the City Council meeting is now adjourned in memory of Rex Scott Knox, retired city employee, rest in peace. The 9 U.S. Army service members who perished during a helicopter accident in Kentucky. The 3 U.S. Army soldiers who perished during a helicopter crash in Alaska. Riverside County Sheriff's Deputy Andrew Davidson, who perished while off duty in a motorcycle collision. Los Angeles Police Officer Aldemar Sandoval, who perished while off duty in a traffic collision. The victims of the Allen, Texas mall shooting and the lives lost due to COVID. Can we please have a moment of silence? Thank you, everybody. This meeting is adjourned at 9:32. 9:28, excuse me, 9:28.
Good one.
Okay.